Hi, I'm Isaac Raz and I'm from PPR Studios, and today I'm going to be talking about locations for our thriller film. So that's possible locations that we're thinking about filming in which go along with our storyline. So, as you can see on the screen, this is a shot from Sudbury Meadows. It's a walkway, and basically when I'm talking about each of the settings, I'm going to list the advantages and disadvantages of them. And the advantages of this one are that there's a lot of nice shadows in it, so especially when it's going to be at night time, there's going to be a lot of the trees kind of tilt inwards towards the path, so it's going to look like it's looming over you. And at the start where Libby gets killed, where her body is found, this place particularly is going to be quite nice. As you can see, the trees actually curl into each other to make almost like a circle, like a shelter bit. And that's quite a nice shot because obviously it looks natural because it's a naturally occurred thing, but it's still quite imposing because as you see here, you've got the big trees opposite and you've got all the leaves kind of coming over. And another good thing of what we can have here is we can have the actual killer standing there, because as you can see, the light is coming. If the killer would stand there, the light would be coming from behind him, and when the light comes from behind someone, it creates a silhouette, so it makes them go dark and the light behind them, really, which is quite nice because if she's looking up and she's all dazed because she's just been stabbed and she's had loss of blood, she would it would be nice to not know. Obviously, we don't want to know who the killer is, but have an image of the killer, but we still can't see it. Which is kind of keeping with the theme of the opening. That's the mystery at the start. It's the prologue. Another location we could use, and this one I particularly like, again, is the Key Theatre. So there's quite a nice riverbank along here, and then as you can see, you've got this kind of balcony bit. But the good thing about that is it's going to be, you can have it dark around it, and you don't have to worry about timings for the dark, when it gets dark, because in winter it gets dark really quickly. I'll just show you an example of that. Here is a rural area right here, and this is it looks like daytime at the moment, and it is about 10 to 4 at this time. I think it was I think it says here 3:43, but then over here in this shot, you can see it's very, very dark, and you'd think that'll be way in the evening, but actually, that's only about 50 minutes away, so that's 20 to 5. So there's a massive difference in lighting. I'll just show you them again. But actually in time, that's not that different. And if you think about it, if you're doing a day's filming and you've got a long time spending on taking shots, you're going to have to be quite concise when filming because you don't want it to go too dark. And also, you don't want the shots to look different, you don't want it to get darker as you go along. I guess the disadvantage of it's got park benches and stuff, and it doesn't really look like a place where someone would kill someone because it's in public. It looks like it anyway, and it just doesn't really tie in with the storyline as much with the setting. Another bit here, as you can see, it does tie in with the storyline. It's quite secluded, but there aren't as many shadows really with it, so there's not really a place where he would actually put the body. And I guess actually it isn't really that secluded because it is in a car park. I mean, there will be no one around the car park, but that doesn't mean that no one could walk along, hypothetically, if the story carried on. So it doesn't make the audience feel as uncomfortable because they just think she's on a normal night out. And I suppose if you're intending to go down that route, she was killed in a place where someone could see her, that could make the audience scared, but because we're not going down that route, it might confuse the audience and not make them really understand what's going on. It might make them feel well, why is she being killed in a place where people could see her, rather than why is she going to that place at night because there's no one there to watch out for her, which is something that's good for really the two more rural areas. So the second more rural area, which is here, is by a riverbank, and I thought of another way that she could be found dead is that it could just be filming the riverbank, and then her arm could kind of like roll into it and create ripples, and as it ripples along the water, it could dip to black or have a title called The Hunt or something like that. So that's quite a nice thing that we could do. The problem with that is a lot of trees have been cut down, so it wouldn't be as dark, there wouldn't be as many shadows, and it wouldn't give that kind of like feeling that she's being trapped almost, because there's not as much trees. So really the first one is my favourite, but I'm not really sure at the moment, because there are good things that you can do with the other ones, and the problem is that they're all very different, so it's just we've got to pick what we kind of like, really, stylistically. So the other part is when she's sitting and walking along a bridge. So as you can see, this is one bridge. Now there are two bridges in Sudbury Meadows. Well, there's actually quite a lot, but these are the two main bridges that I found. There is one going over a road, but it'll be quite noisy, and you wouldn't have the option to filter out the sound or anything, because we don't have the right equipment. But this one here, the advantages with this one, it's more practical in the sense you've got more wind would be censored out by the trees. So that one is quite good, because then you won't have that kind of like sound of something like the camera going all muffly and horrible. But the problem with that is it's quite overgrown. There's not as much lighting, and it just doesn't look as nice, in my opinion. This one here looks really peaceful, and there's a lot more light, as you can see. And almost because there's so much space, and you've got the trees kind of coming over around, it looks like she's on her own more. Like she's really in the middle of nowhere, and like no one could see her. So I quite like that, because you get the feeling that this person she's talking to is a killer, and then you realise she's like on her own, like really, really on her own, because it's quite like, again, if you look at this long shot here, it's got such a good perspective that if there was no one walking along, you might get the feeling, or even if there were people walking away from what's happening, that would look quite good, because then people would get the feeling that she's even on her own even more. So yeah, those are the ideas that I've got for location. Another good thing, I suppose, is that this one's got a better riverbank, so if she went down to it and looked up at the bridge, then she could see the man there. But we don't know if we're going to incorporate that or not. But yeah, this whole setting is really good around Sudbury Meadows. Like, the good things about Sudbury Meadows is there are a lot of different places. Like, it's very, very wide. So if you could have it even in an open field, but we've decided again to like have it just trees and kind of along a pathway. But yeah, those are loads of different ideas that we've got so far. And thank you for listening to this video, and please listen to some more of ours.